State earlier, Windy, but their opponent, the Blazers, have a lot going on themselves. None of it good. CJ McCollum was injured on Saturday, initially called a rib contusion. He has a collapsed lung and is out indefinitely. And while we all hope for a speedy recovery for CJ, of course, it has inevitably worsened the state of the Blazers, which really means the state of Damian Lillard, right? The team is 11-14, 10th in the West. Windy, CJ is now out, and people want to know, is it finally time for Dame to pull the ripcord and ask to be traded? Tell me all about it.
I checked on this, Max, and the answer that I got was there is no change in Dame's outlook. You know, Dame obviously wants to win. He, over the last 5 years, every time a star player is traded and is not traded to Portland, wishes that there were. He wishes Paul George was traded there. He wishes Drew Holiday was traded there. He wishes Kawhi Leonard was traded there. But it hasn't changed his outlook. And I know there's been some concern about his potential desire for a contract extension next season. He could get a $100 million contract extension. I have been told that, yes, that is something that they will look at next summer, but that is not out of line for any player on a max contract with 2 years left. We saw players like LeBron, like Jimmy Butler in their 30s, get those types of contract extensions in the last couple of years. Dame is not out of line in talking about that, but that's not something that he's focusing on now. So the hope is that he may be able to return from his latest abdominal injury over the weekend or early next week, and boy, do the Blazers need him.
Boring. Come on, Windy, wait a minute. That may be accurate, but I need to dream a little bit here. If Dame were to go to management and say, I want out, give me a realistic, what would Portland need to get back from, say, the Knicks or the Sixers or someplace like that to move Dame, do you think?
Right. So that's what people want. They want the red meat. They want to hear, yes, oh, the Knicks could get it done. The Sixers could get it done. I don't think right now, I think it'll be hard for the Knicks. The Knicks' young assets, the guys that they would want to trade, guys like Obi Toppin or guys like R.J. Barrett, they aren't improving their value. Yeah. So in all honesty, I don't think he's going to ask for a trade, but let's say he does. Mm-hmm. I could present a better case for the Sacramento Kings to put together a package, for example. I know that that's not what everybody wants, but with 3 years left on his contract, Dame probably would not be able to direct where he would go, and Wendy, I think he knows that. I think if he gets traded, it's more likely that new management would want to start a rebuild as opposed to Dame switching the way he feels, but we'll wait and see.
Wendy, real quick, Ben Simmons, who we know the Sixers have to move him, they have Thibault, they have Maxey, they could throw in a draft pick, they could expand the trade, right? With that would seem like, look, it's not New York, it's right down the road, they're pretty good. You could play with Embiid, and it looks like they have the assets to get it done. Real quick, would that be something that would be realistic?
You're talking about trading a top 75 all-time player and the greatest player, arguably, Drexler has some fans, but arguably the greatest player in the history of the franchise. That is not something that is taken lightly. It's fun to do with the trade machine, but it's not something that's taken lightly.
Oh, Windy, you and your sober analysis and responsible reporting. Thanks for nothing. No, thanks, Windy. Appreciate it, as always. Here's our NBA Wednesday doubleheader. We'll start my NBA time. The Lakers have scuffled out of the gate. They're 500, currently 6th in the West. Tonight they face the Celtics, but ahead of tonight's game, LeBron was asked about head coach Frank Vogel, and he had this to say.
I think criticism comes with the job. Frank is a strong-minded guy. He has a great coaching staff. And we as his players have to do a better job of going out and producing on the floor. So we're a team and an organization that, that don't mind some adversity, that don't mind people, saying things about us, obviously, because it comes with the territory.
Joining me now to break this down is Kendrick Perkins, NBA analyst who also co-hosts. He also co-hosts a podcast with Big Swagoo, Marcus Spears. Mm-hmm. Perk, you don't know if you know this, but he loved the style. He's an analyst, who's versatile. That's a paraphrase of Run DMC. It's before your time, Perk. I know you were born at the age of 30, but that's before your time. Perk, you know LeBron. What did this sound like to you from LeBron?
It sounded like a LeBron that's frustrated. And I don't think he's frustrated with Frank Vogel. I think he's just frustrated in general with how his team has been playing. And not just offensively, Max. You know, we always want to talk about how is him and Russell Westbrook going to fit on the court? Who's going to be the primary ball handler? But we don't address their defense. The Lakers are one of the teams in the league that gives up points after a made basket in transition. You know, like we can't blame Frank Vogel for Russell Westbrook being one of the most athletic guys in the league but can't get over a screen, a pick and roll. We can't blame Frank Vogel for Anthony Davis not embracing the role of playing the center position. And so when I listened to LeBron just now, it wasn't like he threw Frank Vogel under the bus. He didn't all the way take up for Frank Vogel either. He said it's on all of us, include Frank Vogel. So I agree. All of them have to be better.
Perk, we know the Lakers have a different approach to the regular season, right, than most teams, mainly because they have LeBron. But you and I both know they don't want to be in a play-in situation at the end of the game. So what do they have to do to get themselves into the top half of the West?
Well, Max, it got to start. Like I said, it have to start on the defensive end. When we look at all the top teams that are in the NBA, when you look at Golden State, when you look at the Phoenix Suns, when you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, the Brooklyn Nets, the Chicago Bulls, we praise their offense and praise how guys are putting up 40 points and Kevin Durant leading the league in scoring, Steph Curry doing his thing, hitting threes and all that. But all of those teams ranked top 10 in every statistical category defensively. The Lakers are at the rock bottom, and that's unacceptable. When your shots are not falling in, you got to hang your hats on the defensive end. And then, too, Max, the Lakers got to do a better job of sacrificing outside of basketball. They got to leave the commercials alone. They got to leave all the extracurricular activities alone and lock in on what's more important, and that's sacrificing and locking in on what they have to do between those lines.
Okay, you mentioned Steph Curry. Last night, Steph Curry went all Steph Curry, all over the Magic, right? Including this half-court runner as time expired in the first quarter. From there, the Warriors took care of business. Curry finished with a casual 31-8 and is now 15-3 shy of Ray Allen's all-time record. He was asked about Jesus Shuttleworth's record after the game, and listen to what he said.
What is it, 15? That's funny because I know what that means, if Clay's record and all that too. So we will see. If you've seen the way I've played, especially recently, I'm just not shy about shooting the ball. So the game will dictate what that looks like. I'm not coming out with that as a true goal of how I'll play, but crazier things have happened.
He's not going to rule it out. I love that so much. Perk, I know fans are obsessed with records and numbers, but does something like this, let me ask you this. How much do NBA players think about stuff like that too?
They think about it all the time. And don't let former NBA players or current NBA players say that they don't watch stats or they don't know that they're close to breaking a record, okay? That's a lie. Everybody keeps up with their numbers. We just saw with the Houston Rockets, the team tried to help Kevin Porter Jr. get a triple-double. That's one thing. But watching this guy, Steph Curry, and the magic that he's bringing to the game of basketball, the way that he's able to create and pull up from deep and knock these shots down is a beautiful thing to see. And Max, I'm telling you, right now, not only him breaking records, but the way that he's playing, yes, he's the front runner for the MVP, and he might win the MVP. I think he might will, but there's some competition there. But Steph Curry is right now, what he's doing for his legacy is putting him in the top 10 conversation of the greatest of all time. That's what's happening right now.
All right, well, I'd like to see him be the best player in a final series. Just one. Be the best player in one final series, and then I'll say maybe the
Max,
top 10. Hasn't happened yet.
Start.
This hasn't happened yet.
I'm just saying you still gotta get to the finals. You gotta we can't.
All right, but if you're top 10, you gotta at least once in your life be the best player in a final series. One time. It hasn't happened yet. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm saying I gotta see it.
Max, Max, listen, I'm already a tad bit overweight. My blood pressure was up. I didn't